Hey YouTube, you know what I've been noticing lately? A lot of people on Twitch running streams trying to find creative new ways to play Jenga, but they're just coming up with the exact same thing. Jenga, but funny things written on it. Now, that's me as a game designer, seeing them do this kind of stuff kind of hurts. So today I'm going to be showing you 3 different ways you can use your Jenga set. The first one is Among Us Jenga. Or probably more accurately, Saboteur Jenga. Where this is very similar to a lot of other board game mechanics that you might see, where you have a player who is intentionally trying to go against the cooperative goal, and if people guess, correctly guess who the saboteur is, then the saboteur loses. Otherwise, they would win. So in Jenga, at the start, you would find a way to randomly designate a player using cards or something like this. It's easy. If you have a standard deck of cards, be like, okay, someone draws the ace of spades, you have your number of cards for the number of players. Whoever draws the ace of spades is going to be the imposter, right? And then as you're playing the game, once it gets knocked down, everyone then has to guess who they think the imposter was. Obviously, the imposter trying to intentionally knock it down and then lose the game, right? In trying to intentionally sabotage it. And then all of the non-imposter, all the crewmates, have to then guess who the saboteur is, right? But there would be like a if the crewmates get to a certain block height, they win the game or whatever. Which gives you now all of a sudden a whole extra game on top of a game, right? That's what people have been trying to do. They're trying to use Jenga as an engine to create a game on top of a game, which is kind of where we're going with right now. Then we have number 2. So the Jenga Tower is a dice, basically. You're using the Jenga Tower as a random number generator. It is a d20. So you would get all your different blocks and you would put 1, 2, 3 on it, right? And then as you take the things out, it's basically you're rolling a dice. This is your result. And so you bring your Jenga Tower to your Dungeons and Dragons night. And whenever you perform an action that requires you to roll a d20, so probably not rolling for initiative, but like maybe rolling to hit for an attack, you take something out and you go, oh, this is my result, except that when you eventually knock the tower over, everyone dies, right? So it would be like a one-shot campaign or something like that, where you're trying to minimize the number of actions that you're doing in order to complete the goal of the campaign. Or if it's like a combat focused thing, you're trying to like hope that you roll big and hit hard or something like that. But then you also get punished for over committing to certain things or like overdoing certain actions. You're trying to like do everything efficiently. You're not trying to go too hard in a particular area, right? All right, and then game number 3 is Poker Hand.
I like to go all in.
So you would need 2 Jenga sets for this, pretty sure. And then what you would do is you would kind of jumble up all of the tiles, and then each player gets two of the tiles, or bricks. I'm going to say tiles. It's a board game thing. Each player gets 2 tiles, right? And they secretly look at the one side of it. So on one side would be painted with this is an ace of spades. And the other side would be just the wood veneer, right? And then every player gets their two tiles, and then you stack the tower so that all of the written signs are face down. And then whenever a player has a turn, they pull one tile out. They get to look at it secretly without telling anyone what it is. They go, does this work well for me, for my poker hand, or does it not work well, right? And then they can either take it, yes, if it does work, and they play it face up on the table, right? So like in Texas Hold'em, as you start to get the cards in the center, you got those 5, then that's what it's going to be, and you're trying to like encourage yourself to get the best hand that way. Well, you might get junk and then you put it back on top of the tower, right? So it's kind of like you have a small amount of interaction with what your hand is going to be, but it also like gives you stuff to read from other players. So someone pulls something out and they go, oh, a 2, and they put the 2 on the table. And then you're like, oh, does that mean that they have a 2? Or does that mean that they have something else that's really good and they're trying to fill up the table with jank so they win on high card or whatever, right? So it adds a whole new level of strategy to what it would be. So that comes down to what the fundamental design idea is behind building something like this. And I think what people like Jay Slat and Cutie Cinderella have missed the point when it comes to building something like this. You have Jenga, which is a randomization engine, right? But it also has the end point kind of built in. And what they've done is they've used each one as like a comment generator, right? Which is like the same as playing Cards Against Humanity, but flipping the top card every time and reading out what it says, right? Which is fun one time. And when you're doing a stream like that one time, it's fun the one time, but it means that like you could never repeat this content, right? Or somebody else has to do it and write all new things, or someone is ripping off on you, and then it scales downwards and it gets worse every single time because it's been done the one time that it was fun. People read out the things. But instead, if you look at the Jenga Tower as a dice, or you look at the Jenga Tower as a deck of cards, and then you're trying to build something with that, and use it as a randomization engine. You're trying to dress it up as something else. Because what they're doing is they're taking the dice and they're painting the numbers with something different, right? Instead of looking at where differently they can be rolling the dice, you could be, replacing any randomization engine from any. Like they did that already. They have a Jenga basically, where you have to choose what the different thing. I think you have to like pick something that's the same number or the same color out of the thing after the whatever. I played that like a million years ago. And it's the same kind of thing. You have a whole existing mechanic and you're trying to add another whole existing mechanic to it, right? Which comes down to like a lot of, and with my previous video that I did before with the yoink and twist, that's exactly what this is. You're taking the existing game and then you're finding a new mechanic to add to it that is going to, improve on that. Yeah, okay.